lot of work, but eventually I think the only thing that worked was that neither of us walked away. So if I had to put it into a shape and a color, then if Rishank is a green and I'm a yellow, then every nook and bend that he had kind of in the growth I filled, and every nook and bend, which is not sexual at all, that I had, kind of he grew into.
Yeah.
I realized that every time I was making a mistake or every time I was goofing up, I would speak to me very badly. Like I was extremely mean and I was not kind to myself. No matter how tough it gets, I will never speak to myself
That way.
that way again.
Think back over the last 10 years, what India knows the YouTube scene to be, and there's one face that's going to come to your mind. She's someone who started there, but today she's scaled far beyond that. We're talking about Mostly Sane, Prajakta. Prajakta, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You know,
Thank
as
you
I
so
said,
much.
Mostly Sane, you're one of the few people that are known as much as Mostly Sane as Prajakta
Prajakta.
Kohli over the last few years. Before we get into anything, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you are just a few weeks, a little more than a month actually,
A little more than 25th Feb is when we got
of
married.
all
yeah.
of this. We're going to start off by asking you, because this is the thing, everyone. So your photos of the wedding,
Yeah.
everyone in our newsroom super excited
Yeah.
about the colors, the choices, the
Yeah.
traditional outfits you chose for some of the events. So we're going to start there and just ask
Let's
you,
do it.
what is married life like? First, tell us that.
It's great, dude. I mean, I've been with my now husband, Rishank, like we've been together for more than 13 years now. I was 18 when I met him. He was 22. I'm 31. I'm going to be 22 in a couple of months now. I'm going to be 32 in a couple of months now. So I've spent a huge amount of my life with him. So it's pretty much the same. The fun thing is that now we get to live together.
Yeah.
So that's actually like very, very exciting
But that's
for
a
us.
whole other equation.
It is 100%, but it's so new right now. Yeah, the
good
bubble's
times
still
are
there. Like we're still
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But touch wood, he's been living alone for a very long time. He's from Nepal, so he moved out of his.
Yeah, we know that. We know you've come to love Nepal, Kathmandu,
I love it, yeah,
everything
yeah.
there. I keep saying we, but I just mean everyone on our team was so excited about just the various aspects of the
Yeah.
way this has played out.
Yeah.
Can we ask you one more question about Rishank and you, and then we'll get into work and
it.
you know the important stuff. But I do
Got
want
it.
to ask about this. Rishank and you have been together for 12 years, 12 or 13.
Yeah.
Okay, firstly, for people our age, that's rare. That's
Yeah.
so cool that, you know,
Yeah.
you met someone and you have both just sort of been so focused about it through the last few years. But that's no. I was
Yeah.
going to ask you exactly that. What is that like? How do two people at that, in their early 20s, going through the career trajectory you were going
Yeah.
through, keep coming back to each other, deciding, yes, you are the one? What does that look like?
I think it was a mix of many things. There was definitely love, yes. I'll never debate that, because the stuff we've put up with for each other, love can be the only answer to that, because you're blind and you're stupid in love, and only then can you stand some tests of time that are very, very tough in general when it comes to relationships. So that though I'll never debate. But beyond that, I think it was a mix of comfort. It was a mix of habit, because when you grow up with someone, sometimes when things got tough, we were also scared to walk away because we were so used to each other. There was this whole sense of comfort and security that had come in each other's company. Like I say that to him so many times, that I'm like, there are so many times when I love you but I don't like you.
Yeah, that's a...
Yeah, but that had come because of the very important years of our life that and like you said, like both of our lives changed in this decade that we spent together, where we went from being in college to he started working at the High Court, and then I started working at the radio station, then he moved from practicing law to corporate law, and then I have moved on to everything on digital. And we kind of kept growing. As we kept growing older, we kept growing further different from each other. And in some strange way, I think that worked, because I don't completely understand what he does. He doesn't completely understand what I do, but we give each other that space. So because our individual lives are still existent, when we come together, we have
It's like a dance,
equation.
a beautiful two separate dances,
Yeah,
you know. Where
so that equation has stayed the same, and we've worked very, 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 very hard. There have been times when I don't believe how patient he's been with me. And there have been times where I don't believe that I was so patient also. So it's been a lot of work, but eventually I think the only thing that worked was that neither of us walked away. And sometimes it didn't even come from a place of commitment or love or support or anything. I think it just came from a place of comfort and habit, yeah. And that worked for us.
Can I just ask you though, and we'll do this very quickly, this last question before we launch into everything else. In some of your interviews, you've talked about how your parents and their beautiful love story has kind of always been an emblem for you in terms of just how healthy love can look like. I want to ask you, when it came to your own habits, because so much of the way we love someone else is shaped by how we are loved, that feels like then a lot of very healthy habits may have come to you naturally.
100%.
Yeah?
So
what's something you had to work on?
I had to work on difference of opinion. That was a big one. I grew up a single child. So I didn't grow up in a house, and we've always had very healthy conversations. Ever since I was a child, conversations were always open, communication was very easy in my house. So I didn't grow up with a difference of opinion in the sense where कोई इतना अलग है कि मेरे समझ ही नहीं आ रहा. I was like, how can you do this? Like, how is this the way to do this?
Like he's speaking a different language.
Yeah, because I learned what my parents would do. So the three of us in our house had similar ways of dealing with life. So I think a different perspective, a different take on everything. The way we react to things, the way we will deal with things, the music we listen to, the movies we watch, the fact that he doesn't read. I can
But
never
he's a lawyer,
understand
so
that.
doesn't he? Oh, he
I
reads
think
for
he's
work.
outread at this point.
Okay.
But he's in corporate law. So just our differences in opinion for everything was a big one for me to accept. Where I was like, it's fine. He is very different from me. So that I definitely had to change. But beyond that, I think it was a very mutual growth that we've
has
had.
taken place.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those beautiful things where you've both grown.
Yeah, and we've
Over.
Yeah, like it's I don't know how to put it. Isn't there a term for this? You know how your thoughts are in colors and shapes? There's a-
Synesthesia are you talking about?
I'm not sure.
Synesthesia is when you feel things in different colors.
So I think in colors and shapes. I don't know what that is called. I remember Paula, who's also a creator.
I think maybe we're in the same.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So if I had to put it into a shape and a color, then if Rishank is a green and I'm a yellow, then every nook and bend that he had kind of in the growth I filled, and every nook and bend, which is not sexual at all, that I had kind of he grew into.
Yeah.
So it's a strange diagram in my head, but it works.
No, but I love it because it's beautiful. Like that's a visual image to
Yeah.
start with,
Yeah.
you know. So we'd love to kind of take our audiences back, go right to the start of your journey. Actually, your journey starts, you know, when you're born, but we'll fast forward a little bit, and we'll go to when you decided you want to be
a lot of
No, and
stuff
we'll
to
do that too.
unpack
I'm hoping we'll do that in a little while. But tell us, so you were an RJ, and for a little bit, for a second. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because when people hear your name, you're someone who it feels like would naturally be a very ideal RJ. Bubbly, talkative, those are the thoughts that one thinks when they think RJ. What did you feel when you were RJing? Because you often describe it as something you were failing at. And failing from you is, I was like, Prajakta saying failing? So just describe it to us. What was it like? How did you decide to swerve?
I also think that I set myself up for that failure because I kind of built it up in my head to a major degree of delusion. Meaning, I was 11 when I decided to be a radio jockey.
Oh, love it.
So 11 साल के जब आप होते हो, you don't know what it's going to be like. I was like, what is till उस time पे I just knew I said, how do I become a radio jockey? I need a media degree. What is the bare minimum I need for a media degree? Is arts में 11th 12th करो in Mumbai. 10th standard school gets over. 11th 12th is junior college, and then you do a degree in mass media, and then this is a bare minimum that you need to become a radio jockey. There were these classes, I think, what was that company's name? I can see the font. It's a black and yellow font, but I forget. So that company, they had coaching classes for becoming a radio jockey and all, and I had brochures of that, and I was like, okay, let me see if I can just get an internship and then decide how I want to go about this. So in my head, I was overconfident because same, like you say, right? Everyone around me also
Was
would tell
probably
me
telling you,
that,
yeah.
oh, I was very good in languages. I was a good orator in school also. I would host. I was always a compere. I was always in all elocutions, all
speaker.
debates. Yeah, I was the speaker always. I used to read the news in my school assembly every morning. So my confidence was like skyrocketing. I said, ये तो हो ही जाएगा, ये तो करना ही है. Right after my final year exams, I started interning. And it was so cool. I told my parents I wanted to do this. They were like, sure. So I actually made envelopes. There was a CD with my voice samples burned on it. And then there was a printed resume and a cover letter and all the work that I've done, whatever that was, saying, I want to be a radio jockey, I want to be a radio jockey. And I physically have gone to each and every radio station office and dropped it at the reception. And then I got 2 calls back. One of those, I made the internships. And the first couple of months was all hunky-dory. I was like, oh my God, I could get to be in a studio all the time. And I get to like listen to radio jockeys and I get to do all this fun stuff. And then dheere, I kept waiting for something to happen for me. But I was like, okay, now maybe I'll get a job. Okay, now maybe they'll get me a chance. Or now maybe I'll get to go. After a few months, I did get a graveyard show slot, which is like a 12 to 2 kind of show at night. But it was not live because obviously I was young, there was nobody in the radio station, so I couldn't be in the radio station alone at night. So I had to record those shows in the evening. I was also not very comfortable with doing the whole hello, कैसे हैं आप लोग? क्योंकि मुझे बताया गया था कि रात के shows तो ऐसे ही होते हैं. So it was, I'll not blame the platform because the platform taught me a lot that I end up using even still as a creator. Like in general, writing content, concising, saying more in less words, being fast about it. I learned editing. Omkar Pavaskar, who used to be RJ Sidhu, who was in Fever at that time, his producer, taught me how to edit. He taught me how to...
Like on the software and everything.
Yes, on the software. Ashutosh, who was in the music team on at Fever, taught me how to sound edit. So I actually reached a point where I could record all my videos and I could edit them myself. I could add effects to my sounds and my videos, and I could try different things without having any sort of formal training.
You were your own editor, basically.
Yeah, so I did that for the first 3 years as a content creator. I actually edited all my own videos and stuff like that. So a lot of skills I did learn. I learned how to modulate voice. I learned how, because a lot of the jingles that you hear, that you would hear at that time, like ad jingles and stuff, would be
RJs only.
Yeah, or if RJs are not there, then interns would get to do it every now and then. But when I did my first Audible show as a voice actor, when I did my audiobook for Too Good to Be True, I realized that that actually helped me. Because now it wasn't a new setting for me. I've been in an audio studio and recorded scripts. It helped me with dubbing when I was dubbing for Mismatch and Juk Juk and stuff like that. So it came handy. There's a
They say
lot
that, right?
that
No
I
skill
learned.
is ever...
Never.
Yeah.
But I didn't have fun.
When you were doing it.
Yeah, I didn't have fun. I was actually very relieved when they cancelled my show.
Okay, so then I need to ask you, because there are a lot of young people probably watching and wondering, because it's tricky. When you're younger, a lot of what you do is not satisfying. And there's one set of people who tell you you need to plug through it to get to the good part. And I just want to ask you, for all of those confused people, how does one feel it out?
I think sometimes now, and this could be an unpopular opinion. When you are 18, 19, 20, and I say that now, I wouldn't say this then. I say this now. When you're 18, 19, 20, आप कितने भी intelligent हो, आप कितने भी smart हो, there is a rite of passage for whatever you do. So sometimes you just have to suck it up. There are going to be these days. I mean, I also have this perspective after a decade. I mean, I'm still making mistakes that I would make 10 years ago. But now I'm making them differently because I'm dealing with them differently. But I had to make them, or I had to sit through those things then for me to have perspective now to either deal with them better or avoid them completely. I personally believe, as someone who has never been very academically inclined in general in life, I mean, I did my master's degree and I bolted out of college. I was like, that's it, I'm done.
Never seen a book,
That's not true.
Yeah,
lots of books,
we'll get there. Yeah.
But never an examination for me. So for me, everything I learned, I kind of learned on the jobs that I did. I used to do theatre back in college. I never thought that when I quit theatre then, 12 years later, I would do theatre again. So you'll be very surprised with how your mind and body kind of absorb these experiences and how, and you never know how and when they are going to be handy.
Okay, can I ask you a slightly more personal question now? If we can talk a little bit about the person you've come to be for your fans. So mostly Sen is someone who you appear in your rawest form, if it's okay for me to say, in some of your videos. You're so cool about being really, really open about everything. And you're someone who comes on camera again and again without makeup. You're very, very clear about, like, this is who I actually am.
Yeah.
Again, for a lot of girls, that is a journey.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask you, I know you had confident parents, and I know that you say that that's one huge leg up.
Definitely.
But in those days that have been harder days, what has your process been like? Have you had to learn how to do positive self-talk?
100%. And it took me a very, very long time. I realized that every time I was making a mistake or every time I was goofing up, I would speak to me very badly. Like, I was extremely mean and I was not kind to myself. The internal dialogue that I would have, and I've always had a dialogue in my head. Like I said, I've grown up a single child. I love my solitude. The minute I'm done, I will be in my room with my book. I find that the perfect way of unwinding. I'm very happy being in my house with my books. So what a habit I developed because of that was on days when I would get overwhelming. Now that overwhelming reaction feeling could come from a breakup, or it would come from a school thing or a college thing or whatever. But I would talk to me in the mirror and I would actually say things out loud, whatever I'm feeling, no matter how ugly the thoughts are, I would say it out loud. So I've always had a dialogue, and this has been something I've been doing since I was a child. Very recently, about 2 years ago, I think, I realized that I am speaking to myself very badly. Like, I would show very little confidence, or I would say really mean things. And I realized that if this system gets messed up for me, whatever I've built so far or wherever I want to go ahead, because this is the only thing I'm banking on, right? Like, there are no other cards that I have. I mean, I wouldn't want to name the cards, but there are no cards I have. All I can do is I can get up and I can show up to work, and I can do what I've learned, and I can collaborate, and I can create, and I can perform. That's what I do. But for that, I need to be very, very, very mentally healthy. So that was one huge change that I made, where I was like, no matter what, no matter how tough it gets, I will never speak to myself
that way
again. I have always been my biggest cheerleader, but now it's reached a point where I'll obviously not spoil myself and become a yes person in my head, but at the same time I'll also not talk down to myself, and that has made a huge difference in my mental health. Also, growing up, you know, you always have these ideas of being ideal. You know what I mean? कि ऐसा होना चाहिए. जब आप 28-29 साल के हो जाओगे तो ये होना चाहिए. And this is how a person should be. And this is the kind of professional I want to be. This is the kind of performer I want to be. And then there were sides of me that would come out which were not ideal, and I would shame them and I would not accept them. But in the past 2-3 years, I've actually been very open to them. So at this point, touch wood.
Are you cool giving us an example of a side that you've had to grow to like?
I would, in my head, I was always this like, ki no, I'm accessible, I'm approachable. This is personal relationships, okay? I'm not talking about anything else. मैं bitch जाती थी कि नहीं, like this person has known me for so long, whatever you say. No, I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word. And time and again, I've been proven wrong. But I would never put my guards up, because in general, I would be like, why would this person not be nice to me, or why? I would not put that. And there was a voice in my head which would make me cynical, and I would always shame that and be like, no, don't become this person, Prajakta. Don't be cynical. Don't see the good in people. Don't be that person. Don't let the world bend you into not trusting good people. And then I would fall flat again.
So you learned to trust that voice?
I learned to trust that voice a lot more, where now it's a lot easier for me to say no. It's a lot easier for me to put my guards up.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier for me to draw boundaries, and I don't care if said person in the equation comes and confronts me about this. I have absolutely no qualms about protecting myself anymore. And I think that changed a lot. Of course, this is subjective. I'm not a terrible person, I promise. See, this is the pleasing
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
coming out. But things like that, I think that had to do a lot with my mental health, also my confidence. There was a very, I remember, distinct time where I was, like we were just talking about it, I'm not someone who dresses up very often. I'm not someone who likes to, and that's a personal choice,
Right.
obviously. But there was a time when everyone around me at that time, in my peers, in my acquaintances, would tell me, no, 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 this is how it's supposed to be. No, you have to do it because that's how it is if you want to be noticed. And if you're, and those were always very strange things for me. So there again, the voice would come up and say, ki matlab, why? If you're not comfortable, why do you want to do it? If I want to wear a tank top and jeans and go on the red carpet, why am I not allowed to do that? Again,
So
as
you're
a choice.
You're growing almost into this gut voice of yours that's
Yeah,
been there this
yeah,
entire
it's
time.
always been there, but I've kind of gone to a point where I trust it more and I go for it a little bit more than I would before. So I think a lot of my confidence comes from me actually being very, very comfortable in my own skin. Now that I know that what I like and what I don't like or what I want to do is very clear in my head. And both voices agree.
No, and I just love that finally that voice is loud.
Yeah.
You know, because you've empowered it to be.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, in one of your interviews, you were talking a little bit about what it's like to show up for yourself.
Yeah.
And you said that, you know, sometimes when, you know, you have a content block, for example, you can't figure out the next video you want to put out. You do the bare minimum with the promise to yourself that I just need to show up. And I want to ask for all of, again, the perfectionists who are watching, how do you, in your day-to-day, when you're putting out that content, you know it's subpar, because you've said that. Sometimes you know it's not the greatest, but karna hai. How do you decide, okay, this much showing up is enough?
First of all, again, in my opinion, I don't think perfectionism can be something you can attain with being a creator. I don't think, for me at least, in any kind of storytelling, in any kind of expression of art, I don't think perfect exists. Because your perfect is very different from my perfect. So that pressure is off. Having said that, when you realize that you are sitting in a position where nothing moves till you move. Now, I am very blessed because I have a team. From the word go, One Digital has been managing all my work digitally and offline as well. They had been doing this far longer before I got on the platform. So I got a very good head start on this. I was prepared for it. I was prepared for the hate. I was prepared for the brands coming in. I was prepared for the money. I was prepared for how long it's going to take for me to make money. Everything. I was prepared with how much hard work it's going to take. But having all the prep also doesn't work till I work. So I think the moment you realize that when you are in a place of creation, sui nahi hilegi, because you could have the best team and the best PR and the best sales and the best producers and the best banners backing you and all the equipment, but unless you kind of show up in whatever little movement it is, doesn't have to be your best all the time, because again that goes back to like, how do you even know what your best is? There are times when I have put zero effort in a video and that has taken off, and then there are times where I've spent hours and hours and hours perfecting a script and those videos have tanked. So in my opinion, I don't think there's an idea of perfect that fits with any kind of expression of art or any kind of creation.
So let go of that word.
I think so. Let go. I also have learned that make your peace with the uncertainty of being a creator. It comes with a lot of blanks when I say that the platforms are evolving. The audience is growing up. The models, the rules, the ethics, the ways of things keep evolving constantly, because nobody has done this before. Who knew that this was going to be a job? Like, who knew that this is going to be a thing? To iski rule book bana lo.
Can we ask you, if we give you like future looking glasses, put them on your face and say, as someone who is positioned where you are right now, who's built their own platform over the last 10 years, become a brand for themselves, all of that, when you look at this medium, and by this medium I don't just mean YouTube, I mean Instagram, I mean
everything
creators
digital,
and the economy around it. If I asked you, Prajakta, predict for us, no, I'm serious, where you see it going, what India is bringing to that table again and again, because
a lot. India will bring a lot. It already is bringing a lot. There is so much that we do as a country when it comes to like economy-wise on digital.
But touch on what's unique for us, like, you know, the thing we have going.
I think our diversity is what is unique for us. No other markets, I think, have such a diverse inventory of creators. You know what I mean? Every few kilometers, there is diversity in our country, and that diversity translates on the digital map as well. The fact that there is all sorts of content in all sorts of languages, in all sorts of setups, terrain, everything, I think is mad. Which is why now you see that everyone wants to come and tour rural India and be like, you're living like an Indian. I was, oh my god, I went down a rabbit hole of just like us, like so many content creators who are not Indian. Just coming to India
and some getting married into Indian families. It's a whole, it's very,
but like so much, and I was like, oh my, who would have thought? So if I had to predict, I think the diversity is definitely going to help us. I also think that we're the most malleable community of digital creators because we have learned fast. The internet boom in our country happened much later. 2017, I guess, is when the whole geo revolution happened, and the internet became very accessible, very affordable. I think if you, again, this is just something that I've learned, but if you're a creator and you're starting off, another thing that really helped me and pushed me to show up is that you need to tell yourself that it's also your job. I am all for passion.
But give it structure.
Yes, I happen to be, like my job happens to be my passion as well. I'm fortunate there. But don't let those lines get blurry. Sometimes just telling yourself that you don't have an option. अगर तुमने लिखा है कि 11 बजे I have to sit to write, you have to sit to write because it's your job.
Can I say something? कहने के लिए आसान है, but self-discipline sometimes is the hardest thing, no?
But that's the thing. It's a rite of passage. That the only way to get that is by then तुम 4 घंटे बैठे रहो. But you showed up. That's what I mean with showing up. That sometimes as creators you also have to tell yourself कि you have to pay bills, you have to earn money, and you have to build a life, and you have to fulfill your dreams. So you have to show up because it's your job.
That treat it like a job almost.
Treat it like a
almost
job
take, you know, off days of only a limited amount.
Yes.
Like leave, like structure it.
Again, in my opinion. Like if I were to write the book saying ki jab man kare, I would never have finished it. I'm waiting for the right vibe. I would have never finished it. I have forced myself. I have written and rewritten, written and rewritten. The ending of the book has been changed twice. But that only, I could only get there because I was like, I don't care what is happening. I have to sit and write and I have to deliver and my book has to come out.
Okay, so we'll get to the book in a second, but then very quickly. One of the things you've said is that a dream for you, a sort of mini dream for you was, you know, appearing on the Cadbury billboard, not because you set it out as a dream, but when it happened.
When it happened, it felt like a dream.
For you 100%. And for your family, right? And that was a tier A dream, right?
100%,
like huge.
100%.
And I just want to ask you, what's another huge, just if we wanted to understand the direction you're headed in, and the reason I'm asking you this is also because you must realize you're a lighthouse. Right, so the way you're thinking is also the way a lot of people, you know, can sit back and say, oh, acha, this is the disha, you know, the general trend. So I want to understand, you've created a book and we're going to talk about it in a second. You've had your own shows, you've led your own shows, obviously, and acting came after the YouTube content creation, which we haven't even gone into. But I do want to ask you, now what? What's the big dream? Is it more of creation? Where are we going to see you go?
You know, I was this kid who knew exactly what she wanted to do in her life till it happened, and I hated every minute of it with radio.
Oh, yeah.
So when I started making content, I told myself, I said, I'm never going to put those
blinders
on my, because I don't know better. I could make a plan, but I don't know better. If we were in a business that gave me projections, I would make a map. But nobody can predict where we are going 5 years from now. So I have no clue like that. But
one sec, with the whole AI thing, where you have content creators who are leading this sort of using a AI avatar even to like put out content instead of them, do you sort of say, are you a technology embracer? Do you go?
I mean, I feel like some things you don't have an option but to embrace, because my career is on technology based platforms. Like I don't have an option to not do it. But having said that, there was a quote, and I really should memorize her name. I apologize. If someone knows, please put in the comments so everybody can look it up. There was a quote that says, I don't want AI to do my art so I can do my laundry. I want AI to do my laundry so I can create art. And I feel like that's such a beautiful way of looking at technology in general. Like even for the book, when I was, so my editor kept telling me that you have to send me acknowledgements. And I was like, oh. And when I started writing acknowledgements, I realized that never once in my life, out of the hundreds of books that I've read, have I read the acknowledgement section of a book.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how to write acknowledgements. So I actually gone on ChatGPT and I said, how to write
You
acknowledgements.
have really funny first few pages though, right?
But
You know?
that I wrote
Yeah.
myself. But the acknowledgements in the
Oh,
end.
at the end. Okay, okay.
So I've actually acknowledged ChatGPT because it helped me write these things. And I was like, this is my way of kind of adapting to it and embracing it in whatever capacity that I can.
In this, okay, let me ask you then, let's talk a little bit about this because I feel like teased this through the
A
entire
little bit
interview.
too much.
So TLDR, too long didn't read, this book is called Too Good to Be True, and I just want to ask you, so.
Too long didn't read?
No, TLDR, too long didn't read,
Yeah.
you've never, TLDR, you've never, oh that's a phrase. When someone wants a summary, you say TLDR. So I was going to give a TLDR of what this
Oh,
is. Yeah.
wow.
New phrases. I'm definitely not the Gen Z one between the two of us.
Neither am I.
Yeah, I was going to say. But I feel like your mind is a little blown right now with a phrase that really
TLDR.
does not deserve this.
Okay.
But I was going to say, no, but I was going to say Avni in this book is someone who, if it's fair to say, she's a bit of a, you may not like me saying this, feels like a bit of a commitment phobe. Feels like it takes her a little while to open up to Aman.
Yeah, she's guarded.
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask you, from everything I've read about your own love story with Prashanth, that's not the way it worked. It was the opposite almost, right? And so I just wanted to ask, why create a story about a young woman who is commitment phobic? What was the thought process? That commitment phobic is too strong a word.
Yeah.
She was scared. But what was the thought process there? Why was this the story that you... Because hamesha hamare culture mein sometimes we say ulta hota hai. You know, like you'll have the guy who's avoidantly attached and it's the woman who's anxiously attached. So you chose to write this, have this twist. What was the thought process?
So she's had a very tough childhood. Did you happen to read it?
I read it and I've read it till here, so you have to be careful.
Okay, good. Where have you reached?
I've literally reached 149. I was putting my finger there this entire time and now I've lost it.
That's all right.
So yeah, they're here, they're talking to each other. I mean, so I'll tell you, they've kissed. I can tell you where I've reached.
Yes.
They've kissed and then he's brought up the girlfriend.
And she's freaked out.
Yeah. Which I was like, girl, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
So when you get to the end of the book, I really hope you do, and it's not TLDR for you, you'll realize that she's had a childhood that shaped her in having trust issues.
Yeah.
And for me, every time and I'll not say more than that, I really hope that kind of gives you the closure on that. But having said that, every time I'm working on characters, I find a lot of beauty in the mundane. I find a lot of beauty in really stereotypical, relatable emotions and attributes of a person. I'm not someone who gets excited with like quirks. इसका ना ये quirk है, इसका ये तकिया कलाम है, ये हर जगह जाके ना यही बोलता है, and like, oh, that's such an Avni thing to think. I don't find fun in that. I find fun in the really regular things that if I am reading it, I want to feel it.
Like
and
Meri Zindagi almost.
like this is, or have something familiar to relate this to, because then the story stays with me beyond the pages. Every time I've read a story where I have related to it with a personal feeling or a personal experience, that's kind of stayed with me, and I find that beautiful in my
the
opinion.
kurta, the black kurta she was, her lucky
Avni?
kurta rather, like I was just like,
That's
this
the
is a,
lowest hanging fruit.
yeah, literally, I was like, this is such a common, you know, in a beautiful
Everything,
way. Yeah.
So I think that's where she comes from. There's a reason for her reservations when it comes to trusting people. There's a reason. I also think that when there's a rom-com, and this was also a conversation I had about Dimple, that when there's a rom-com, you sometimes just expect an ideal woman, you know what I mean? Why could you? So I just feel like The fun is when she's not ideal.
And when her flaws are this laid out almost, if it's alright
and
to
she's
say.
not hiding them. It's not a thing, oh, you don't know but this. But she's like, that's it. I find a lot of beauty in that.
Okay, so we're going to do this with you now. It's time, finally.
It's time.
This is a bowl of questions that our team has prepared.
Got it.
Some of these questions are about the book. You're going to choose any three and answer them for us.
A habit of yours that your husband finds adorable.
Oh, this one's about your husband, not about the book, but yeah.
And one that drives him crazy. A habit of mine that Rishank finds adorable. A new thing
You can just say you as you are in its entirety. It's fine.
A new thing I've realized is that sometimes when I'm home and he's getting ready to go to work, I love styling him.
Oh, okay.
So I get very excited. I'm just like, no,
and you can do it for the first time
not
now.
this, not this. And he's also unhealthily attached to skinny trousers, which I don't love. So now I'm trying to break the curse.
Wean him.
Yeah. So that is quite fun, and I think he enjoys it as well. And one that drives him crazy. So because we've never lived together, right? So now every time I'm going to shoot, I wake up before him. Otherwise, Rishank wakes up before me. So every time he wakes up, he's very quiet.
Oh, but the opposite
but
is not.
When I wake up, I'm also blind, right? Now because he's sleeping, I can't turn the room lights on. So I'm blind, so I'm with my phone torch. I run into things. Also the house is new for me, so मेरे को वो ना footing अभी आई नहीं है. So I run into, like I've stubbed my toe this morning at the bed. I have dropped my bottle and spilled water. I have walked, like I didn't realize the spring of the closet, so मैं छोड़ दिया और धड़ाम से वो लग गया. I've dropped my hairbrush, so he gets. I think that
It's
drives
very
him.
active mornings whether he likes it.
Yeah, so this was at 5:15 this morning, so I think that definitely drives
so now
him crazy.
This is 50% relationship questions and 50% book questions. I hope you pick up a book question because otherwise.
There
we go. Okay.
There's a book one. What's one thing your protagonist would absolutely hate about you? Avni or Aman?
Aman, I don't think Aman. I want to know for Avni. Yeah.
What would Avni hate about me? I don't think Avni and I would be friends.
Oh, how interesting.
We are too similar.
Okay.
If you see her friends, none of them are like her.
Yeah.
I think Avni is very much me, so I don't think she would like me from the word go. It would
Do you think you could be Avni's older sister though?
No.
Okay.
I don't think we would be friends.
No one in her life.
No, I don't think so. I don't think we would. It's like putting two very similar people from different universes together. They would clash. I don't think it would work for us. So I think what she would hate about me is everything.
Yeah, I was going to say.
She'd be like, what do you mean your job is drawing stashes on your face and acting like a brother you don't have? How is that a job?
And the last one.
This is marriage again.
Oh, okay.
You want me to pick a book one?
No, keep the marriage one. This one you can take home. The whole, yeah.
Answer them. What's the one thing marriage has changed about your daily routine?
You know, you kind of already told us in a sense.
Yeah, just
so
that.
we can
Okay,
use the last few seconds.
Yeah, because when I was living.
Yeah,
I
you
would,
can choose
I would
his
get up
outfits.
and turn the lights on and I would know
No,
what
I was saying the
everything is.
outfit thing. That now you can choose his outfits. That's also a plus.
That's also a thing. The biggest lesson you've learned in maintaining a happy relationship.
Oh, there we go. One more.
Let's do a book one.
Yeah.
I've spoken
I think
too
we
much.
should.
I don't even have this much knowledge about
go.
relationships. One line from your book that hit you the hardest while writing. I was very proud of myself for coming up with that analogy. I'm already obviously paraphrasing it, but there's a bit when going ahead you will see that they go somewhere, and when she's there are all these feelings that are new to her, and the way that Avni said them, I was very happy with the way it came out. So she says something on the can I read it out actually? You were 149.
This is nice because
yes?
we can make this into a reading a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, there, tulips. Okay. Sorry, give me 1 minute. I quite. So this bit where she says, "Our minds are such weird little places. I thought as we made our way back through the rows of gorgeous flowers. They store our insecurities and issues so close to our joys and laughter, like rooms sharing walls. Sometimes a loud noise on one side echoes in the other, and sometimes the wall is so thick that you forget there is a room on the other side at all." Which I thought, again, a very visual analogy where your joys and your laughters are so close sometimes that you forget that they're not in the same room. And I thought I was very proud of myself for doing that. I was also very proud of these one-liners that Martin has a lot.
Throughout the entire
Throughout,
book.
yeah, I was
Martin
very
is like
happy.
everyone's best friend. That's his
I think
character,
Martin's
you
my
know?
favorite character for sure. I quite liked it.
In fact, it's funny, the other thing, so you're a very visual writer.
Yeah.
One more question we'll leave you with is tell us about someone you want to write with, because I was about to ask co-author with. And the reason we ask you is because you read a lot, you know, and we haven't at all spoken about how much you read, rom-coms, for example.
Romances. I'll get the calm a little bit, but I wish I could write with Chitra Banerjee.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because she does romance so honestly. I mean, have you read The Last Queen?
I haven't.
Oh my
and
God.
I know because my mum loves her.
Oh my
And so I've seen what it does to someone.
It's a love story,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
history, but it is this story about this resilient woman in love. There is no other explanation to the things she does. She's in love. Oof, it's beautiful. So I don't think I have the guts to write with her. I wish I could just be in the room when she is brainstorming or making her notes. I think I'd be happy with that as well. I don't think I have the guts to.
But can I tell you something? One theme that's been there in this entire interview, and we're kind of drawing it to a close, but just your kind of joy in fierce, resilient women.
Yeah.
And just me as an interviewer sitting here and getting to watch someone who's shaped their own life is that already, but you're shaping to be more and more that, coming to love that inner voice inside you.
Yeah.
I just hope everyone watching, because it's a very difficult process, but it's the most important journey anyone can go on, I feel.
It's also the most liberating.
Yeah, and more than all the achievements we've talked about
Yeah.
today, the milestones you've had.
100%.
It's just like beautiful to hear
And
someone.
it comes out in such weird ways. Like I didn't realize this till someone pointed it out to me. For my wedding, for our wedding, we had female priestesses who officiated our wedding. Now this wasn't a conscious choice. It was a very regular thing. Like Shank and I had spoken about it a while ago, and I was like, I've always had these figures who have been my guiding lights in my life, and a lot of them happen to be women. So I want women to be in the mandap when they officiate our wedding, and Rishank was okay with it. But it didn't come from a place of decision making, it came very naturally. So I think when that happens, adding on to what you said, it comes out in different ways in parts of your life, and I think that's beautiful.
But not forced, and that's what I thought was
Exactly,
really cool.
yeah.
It's just like, it is who you are in that
Yeah.
moment, and I think because everyone around you has seen you come into that moment, even they feel on the same page with you in a way that isn't forced at all.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It's not like, okay, this is my, you know, the thing
Yeah.
I'm fighting for.
Yeah.
Everyone's made that journey with you.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it ties back right to the beginning when we were
Yeah.
talking a little bit about like just this last 10
Yeah.
years for you.
Yeah,
But
it's been phenomenal.
Yeah, it's been
I'm-
phenomenal.
I'm
and
very grateful.
just as women watching you, it's just very exciting to see
Yeah.
someone break barrier after barrier. So, and I
Yeah.
don't want to say barriers because I say kuch barriers the nahi, but you know what I mean? Like in the sense that you have just built this for yourself. You are who you are because of your own very, very particular choices. And it's just really cool to
You're
watch.
very kind. Thank
no,
you.
but it's not me. It's everyone
I
who
appreciate
loves
that.
you and has loved you for years. So
Thank
it's
you.
been lovely speaking to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for taking out the time.
Thank you.